Hey, Dion Johnson here, the Womanologist, and happy Saturday to you. I am excited about sharing this message with you, particularly if you are a woman in senior leadership. You are a CEO, director, a head, a strategic lead in your organization, your industry, or your field, that you're a woman who occupies a position of power. But I know that I'm broadcasting this on all of my social media platforms. So you may well not be a woman, you may well not be a woman in senior leadership, and you are welcome. I'm excited about sharing this message with you. You see, I've had an incredible week, as you may have seen from the title of this video. It started on Wednesday. I'm really going to share this story with you because I think that I've got something that I've got a message that I want to share. I've got a message that I really want to, I feel compelled to give to you. And so I think the best way for me to do it is to tell you what happened on Wednesday and Thursday this week. So I had an incredible day on Wednesday. I worked with some clients, and then in the evening I gave a presentation to a small group of educationalists who are really passionate about developing as leaders. And it was just so incredible. At the end of that call, I was really wired. I was really excited. I couldn't believe that I actually get to do this for a living. You know, it's one of those gatherings where time stood still. I felt like I'm completely in my element, completely aligned, completely connected with the women in the group. And so many women were receiving like very powerful breakthroughs. It was an incredible evening. And at the end of that call, I thought about Thursday, and I knew that I had an incredible day lined up. I had 2 private clients lined up and a meeting with a potential client. I just knew that tomorrow was going to be more of the same. And I've really found it difficult to wind down after that. Like, I was so pumped that this is my work life, and I was so grateful. But I did manage to get off to sleep, and it was a really sweet sleep, and that sleep was interrupted about 5 a.m. with a really intense jolt in my head. A really intense jolt in my head. It was so powerful. It woke me up out of my sleep. And actually, it wasn't strange to me because it had happened once before in December of 2020. It had happened once before. The same thing. Went to bed and was jolted up out of my sleep with this pain. This not pain, but like an electric shock, an intense electric shock in my head that resulted in feeling like I was like somebody had picked me up by the scruff of the neck and flung me across the room. So what was happening was that I was awake, my eyes were open, but it felt like I was going through the air. I knew that I wasn't going through the air. I knew that I wasn't in this somersaulting through the air, but it felt like that, and I couldn't make it stop, and I couldn't work out which way was up, and I just felt really, really disorientated. And I cried out then, and my daughter, who was with me at the time, she woke up and said, you know, what's up? And I tried to explain to her, like, I'm spinning out of control. And she, you know, helped me until it subsided. And when it subsided, I tell you, my heart was beating really fast. And I was just so afraid. And I thought to myself, you know, if that happens again, then I'm going to have to go to the hospital. I'm going to have to see someone, like something's really wrong. Well, after it happened in December, it didn't happen again. So I kind of just let it go. Every now and again, I would think about it, but I would just sort of let it go and hope that it wouldn't happen again. But it happened again on Thursday morning. So on Thursday morning, I wake up with this same jolt, the same feeling like I'm catapulting through the air, the same feeling like I can't work out which way is up, I can't make it stop. But this time there's this incredible nausea that went along with it. I just felt like I was going to throw up, but I knew my stomach was empty. but I knew that I just felt so strongly that I needed to throw up. It was just this awful, ugly feeling of nausea and this tumultuous, aggressive, fierce, twisting sensation that like I'm twisting like out of control into the room. So my daughter was with me again. I called her and I said, this is happening again. It's happening again. And she said, what do you want to do? And I said, I've got to get to the hospital. I've got to see someone. I knew I couldn't wait until 9 o'clock that night. And so we got to the hospital, and I was seen, fairly quickly, and they did all kinds of tests. The dizziness and this feeling of spinning out of control was still happening. It wasn't wearing off. It was sort of coming and going. It was coming and going. And, they did all sorts of tests, made me touch my nose and touch their finger, look left and right. They did all kinds of tests. And then the doctor said, it's really, they think it's important for me to have a scan, a CT scan, just to rule out any sinister, happenings in my brain, or whether or not I've had a kind of a neurological episode. They wanted to rule that out. So I agreed to have the scan, went off to have the scan, and then when I got back to my bay after having the scan, a few minutes later, maybe about 15 or 20 minutes later after having the scan, waiting for the results, these doctors came charging into my bay with some nurses, and they hardly looked at me. They just started pulling the breakup off my bed and started moving me. One was telling me that they think I need to go and have another scan. One was telling me that I needed to have some dye put into my veins so that they could see my brain more closely. They need to get me there now. They were really moving, like they looked shook, they looked panicky, they looked like something was really wrong, and I couldn't make head nor tail out of what they were telling me. Like they were rushing me back to the scanning department. They were telling me that I needed to have another scan, and that this time I needed to have dye going around my system so they could really have a proper look at my brain, but they weren't telling me why. And I could tell that something was really wrong. And when they had come into my bay, I was talking to my daughter and my sister on the phone at the time, and I was still talking to them, and I said, something's up. Something's up. They're not talking to me about what it is, but something's really wrong, and they must have seen something on the scan. So I told my daughter, go and arrange prayer for me, get the church praying, and and just let's see what happens. So we're finding our way through the hospital back to the scanning department, and no one's telling me what's up, but we're moving at the rate of knots, and I know something's really wrong. And so when we get to the scanning department, they're cleaning it, because someone's obviously just come out of the scanning department, so they're cleaning it, and they told me that it won't be long, wait here. And as I'm waiting, there's a nurse waiting with me. Everybody else is gone. And I look at this nurse in the eye and I say, tell me what is going on. And after a few excuses about why she wasn't the right person to tell me and why she couldn't answer me, she explained that what she said exactly was, if what they suspect is right, there's still time to get you to theatre before anything really bad happens. That's what she said. I said, what do they think's going on? She said, they think that there's a clot in your brain. They think that there's been some kind of blockage, some kind of there's something going on. There's a blockage or a clot of some kind in your brain, and they need to confirm it so that they know whether to take it to theatre or not. So I said, well, how do they get rid of the clot? She says, well, they put a tube in, and they kind of drain it out. They put a tube into your brain and they drain it out. I thought, oh gosh, like this was confirmation that this is really serious now. And I knew something, I just knew that this was dangerous based on how they were, what she was saying and how they were behaving. I knew that they were really worried about me. And so, my heart, I could feel my heart beating really fast. I felt like this, this is really serious. And so we quickly get into the CT scanning room, and one's telling me to go onto the, shuffle over onto the bed. Another one's reading my name band. Somebody's trying to get my consent for the dye that's going to be put in my vein. Someone's checking the vein to see whether or not the cannula works. It was all very rush. Everything was happening all at the same time. And then there was no one. Like they'd all kind of gone off into that behind the radioactive wall, and I was led there on the CT scan bed, just waiting for this all to happen, like waiting to see what happens. And I remember getting back to my breath, just deciding that I was going to breathe slowly and calm myself down. And then I realized in that moment that this really could be it. I realized in that moment that I really could die now. And I sat with that for a minute, I lay with that for a minute on that CT bed and gathered my thoughts. And then I thought to myself, I just connected with my God. And I decided that I won't be afraid. And I actually checked that out, and I realized, you know what, I'm calm, I'm not afraid. And I began to talk to God. And I said, God, if this is the end, if this is my time to come back to you, then so be it. I'm at peace with that. But here's the thing. I don't think I'm done. I don't think I'm done. And I thought about the night before with the women in that group, just the incredible feeling of power and, rich connection, and me being in my element. I thought about those women. I thought about the impact that what I had to share made in that room. And then I thought about the people that I was lined up to meet that day, that Thursday. And I thought about all the women that I hadn't met yet, all the women that I want to meet, all the women that I want to serve, all the women that I want to impact powerfully so that they can be their most powerful self in leadership. And I just knew that I am not done yet. I just knew that I needed to keep living. There was much more difference for me to make. There was much more, there was much more impact, much more influence for me to have, much more for me to be and do and say and create and express and experience as a woman in leadership. It was really scary, but I gathered my thoughts, I calmed myself down, and all I could think about were the women. All I could think about was you. And I'm telling you this story because you can see it's Saturday. I didn't die on Thursday. But what I am left with is this strong sense that time is of the essence. I'm left with this strong sense that none of us, neither you nor me, are promised tomorrow. We're not promised this afternoon. We're not promised tonight. We're not promised time. Time is of the essence. And I really feel like sharing this with you because I know that some of us aren't living and leading like we've only got a limited amount of time. We're living and leading like we've got all the time in the world. And what I realized on Thursday was that we don't have all the time in the world. It can be over in a flash, just like that. Like it could just be like that could just be the end. It could be the end right now. And so I really feel like some of us need to wake up and realize that. I feel like some of us are playing small. I'm looking down at my notes because I really want to capture what I journaled this morning. but some of us are playing small. We're punching below our weight. We're holding back on who we are positioned to be. Some of us are distracted. Some of us are caught up in power struggles and the politics and the isms and the schisms in our professional realms, in our professional spaces, that we aren't really we aren't busy becoming the woman that can make the difference that we were born to make, that we're positioned to make, that we're in that role to make. That some of us are asleep, that we've stopped thinking and feeling and caring about the mission, the assignment, the difference that we wanted to make, that, you know, the motivation that drove us to take up those positions in those organizations in the first place. Some of us are afraid. We are suffering from analysis paralysis. We know the difference we want to make, but we aren't, but we're so in our heads about making it that we're not actually moving towards making it. That we're afraid of what people will say, or we're afraid of failure, or we're even afraid of succeeding. We're just afraid, and so we're stuck, and we're not really using the time that we've been given today to make the kind of difference that we're in that role to make. We know there's more for us to be and do and say and create and express, but everything's in the way. Life's busy. You know, no one else is making a fuss. I'm afraid to rock the boat. Politics, isms, schisms, all kinds of reasons why we're not moving towards our difference making, the difference that we were born to make and positioned to make. So this week I got my wake-up call, and I realized that time is of the essence. It really is. And so if this resonates at all, I'm making this video to call you, challenge you into taking these 4 steps. These 4 steps. The first one is to decide. Decide that no more time is to waste. No more just living like we've got all the time in the world. To be the woman, the leader, the change maker, the difference maker that you are uniquely powered to be. No, deciding that no more wasting time, no more holding back, no more punching below my weight, no more just staying here, staying stuck, no more. Decide. Secondly, I want you to decide to find your tribe. The empowering, the repowering community or individuals that will help, that you will help you on your journey, that will listen to you talk about what it is that's in your heart to do and be and say, and help you and support you to be on, to ignite your becoming that woman, becoming that leader, becoming that change maker. No one of us is an island. We need people around us. We need supportive people around us. Some of us have to stop being around some people who are draining our enthusiasm for the journey to progress. Some of us have to think about our circles, who we're hanging around, you know, what we're making normal in our everyday life and leadership. We have to find places that nourish us and enrich us and empower us and repower us to ignite our becoming this woman who can do the kind of difference that no one else can do, can make the kind of difference that no one else can. That I'm encouraging you that if this is resonating with you at all, find your tribe, find your people, find the individuals that are going to support you in your season of becoming and preparing to make the difference that you're here to make, that you're in that role to make. Number 3, set a date to talk with individual or those people or that group, set a date. Set a date. Give them a call right now. Say, hey, let's meet on this day. Hey, let's talk then. Hey, when are you free to talk? Let's gather on this time at this day. We need to ignite something. We need to get together to talk about something. Set the date. Put it in the diary. We're so busy, aren't we, that we could end up just forgetting this message, forgetting this call to action. So we need to take action and put it in the diary. And then fourth, make a start. Make a start. Reignite that inner difference maker that's been languishing in there. Bring her out. Give her a voice. Make a start. Write a post. Do something. Call your team together. Do something. Make a start. There's this old saying, isn't there, that you don't have to be you don't have to be great to get started, but you do have to get started to be great. Well, I'm thinking that to make the kind of difference that you were born to make, that you are positioned to make, that you are being called to make right now, we need to make a start. So whatever that means for you, think about, what does making a start look like for you? And really just start. Just start. I'm talking to myself too. Like, I'm not just preaching this thing. This is a message for me personally. As I lay on that hospital CT scanning bed, I realized that this is for me too, that it's time for me to ignite my impact and influence. It's time for me to really step up and serve the people that I'm born to serve, that I'm positioned to serve. And for me, that's women in senior leadership. That's women who are positioned in organizations and industries, and you are the CEO, you're the director, you're the head, you are in the conversations that where decisions are being made about that industry, that organization. You are part of the culture shaping system, that you are part of the conversation about what needs to happen and where the organization is going. It's like, it's you that I really want to speak to. It's you that I'm called to serve, especially if you are feeling distracted, or if you're feeling overwhelmed or undermined or overlooked, or if you find that you have lulled into a sense of either complacency or just accepting the status quo, and that you really can't make the difference that it was once on your heart to make. If this is resonating at all, then you and I, we go together. You who I am passionate about serving fervently, fiercely in this season ahead. So if that resonates with you, if you're a woman in senior leadership and you know that I'm speaking to you, then I'm inviting you to come and join me on what I'm calling a gathering of influential women on the 22nd of February at 8 p.m. GMT. That's UK London time. A gathering of influential women. I want to explain what it is that I see as the real challenges when it comes to us as women in senior leadership. I want to share my vision with you for us. And I want to talk about what I know needs to happen for us to take our place as senior leaders, as more powerfully, take our role, occupy our positions. We're already senior leaders, but I want to talk about what it's really going to take for us to occupy those roles more powerfully and more fiercely and more effectively at this time, at such a time as this, when the world is so upside down and topsy-turvy and spinning out of control, a bit like I felt like I was. And so a gathering of influential women, the link is in accompanying this video somewhere up above or in the comments or wherever you're seeing this. And so it's Monday evening at 8 p.m. London time. I'm going to be gathering. I'm going to be practicing what I preach. I'm really stepping up the way that I serve you. And if this is if you're recognizing yourself in this any at all, I invite you to come and join me. Click the link that accompanies this video, and I will see you then. Listen, I'm not intending to scare you. I'm not intending to panic you. But I really believe that time is of the essence. I'm not prophesying your death. I'm not saying that this is the end for you. But I am saying that time is of the essence. And if we're going to rise to the call to take up our places more powerfully, then we need to talk. We need to get ready. We need to prepare to be the kind of powerful influencer, powerful leader that this position that we're in requires us to be at this time. So come join me, and I'll see you then. Bye.